What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah, and back in the greenhouse for today, battling some inclement weather, pretty rough winds, so probably be able to hear that tearing around on the outside of it. But today I wanted to tackle on a concept that came out of one of my journals. Just going back through reading all through my journals that I've written over the past years, just kind of re-solidifying a lot of the lessons that I've learned. And one of those that popped out was that distraction equals detraction. I press into that with my little girl all the time. I ask her, honey, what's the definition of distraction? And our working definition is robbed focus. You can't have distraction unless there has been a defined point of focus established. If you don't have a defined point of focus, there is no distraction. If you're bouncing your eyes everywhere, that's just looking around. So in order to have a distraction, you have to have a fixed point of focus. And then to look away from that fixed point of focus, where there's some sort of value or benefit being established in focusing on that one spot, that then equals distraction. You're having a robbed focus. Out of that understanding of distraction then, distraction equals detraction. That by being distracted, you're detracting from the value that's being captured by focusing your eyes on one specific spot. In Hebrews chapter 12, it says to fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the majesty in heaven. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Through this process of making all of these videos, I've had to make sure that I keep my eyes focused on Jesus and remember that the reward exceeds the exchange. My third born child, Bowden, was just born, and it's a really hard season trying to learn what our new normal is and how to minister to our two little girls and also to our new son, Bowden. So moving forward with these videos it's just becoming more and more of a process of persevering and pressing into vision that God's given me moving forward. And I found myself getting distracted, looking around at all kinds of different things, and that distraction is detracting from my strength. So in regards to this idea of that reward exceeds the exchange, when I fix my eyes on Jesus, I see the example of Jesus going to the cross, and he's the author of my faith. He's the one that put it into place, and he is perfecting it. He's established it by his person. I've received his righteousness, and then moving forward from his victory in the cross, he's perfecting that faith in me. As I fix my eyes on Jesus, I see that he went to the cross for the joy set before him. Joy is the reward of those who exercise correct responsibility within a given trust. If you think about Jesus when he talked about the kingdom of heaven, and a master gave talents to his servants in accordance with their faith. 2 were given 2 talents and 5 talents, and the one servant was given 1 talent. It says that those who were given 2 and 5 went at once and put their master's talents to work for him. And the servant who was given 1 talent buried that talent in the ground. When the master returned, it says that he called his servants to settle accounts with them. And the 2 faithful servants went at once, gathered in what their master had given them plus the excess, and came and gave an accounting of what they had done with the master's trust. The master then responds to his servants, "Well done, good and faithful servants. Enter into sharing in your master's joy." The one who buried the talent, who did not respond correctly, it says that after an exchange with the master says, "You wicked, lazy servant," and expels that servant out into the darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. The principle then that I pull out of that is that the correct exercise of responsibility within a given trust receives the reward of joy. Elsewhere, I think it's in Nehemiah, it says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. Pulling all of this together then in looking at Jesus, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. As I correctly steward this word of God on my life and the vision that he's given me and producing these videos and pursuing extraordinary life with Elijah moving forward, that Jesus has increased joy for me waiting as a reward of correctly stewarding this responsibility. However, before I get to that place of accountability, that place of pressing into joy, a joyful report of what God has done in and through me by the trust given me, there is the period of persevering. And it says, fix your eyes, there's our point of focus, fix your eyes on Jesus, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. Now, I don't know about you, but the things that I really enjoy and are pleasant, I don't have to endure them. I love steak, especially a bone-in ribeye. It's just cooked to perfection. I've not endured a good steak. I have endured some steaks. There was a friend who did not field dress his deer very well, and it was a buck in rut season. I endured that steak, but other than that, I don't say that I endure things that aren't incredibly difficult, that have a sense of suffering to them. And so it says that Jesus endured the cross, scorning its shame. And as Jesus approached the cross, it says that he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane and asked his Father to let the cross pass from him. That if there could be any other way that he could atone for the sins of mankind aside from going to the cross, that was Jesus's number one pick. But the Father said, no, thank you for becoming willing to die, Son, but the cross is that way. So in this process of me fixing my eyes on Jesus, he's my place of focus, not detracting from the strength that he has to impart for me, I find that Jesus has joy set before him, that he received a specific trust from the Father to carry out a specific work. And that as Jesus carried that work out, he pressed into the suffering and exchanged his life in accomplishing the Father's will. The end result was increased joy, increased strength, increased participation in his inheritance with the Father. As I'm pushing forward in this process of pursuing extraordinary life with Elijah and pumping out 2 videos a week with my family and thinking forward to Sunday, October 27th, 2023, 10:50 a.m. MST, I have to keep my eyes fixed on the prize. And there is a difficulty to be endured. Again, living in the future here with these videos and dreaming of all of you and what the Lord is doing in the future, it's really hard not to get distracted and look away from what God is calling me into. My encouragement to you is that wherever you are in your life right now, that you wouldn't allow the suffering and the difficulty and the threats of shame of whatever it is that you're pressing into, whatever it is that God has called you into, that you wouldn't allow the shame and the suffering. The wind is really fierce. But that you wouldn't allow the threats of shame, the suffering, the terror of whatever it is that's in front of you divert you from what God has called you to do. Family, there's joy set before you. Don't miss the fact that because there's the threats of very real threats of shame, that whatever it is that you're pressing into, that there's very real ability of that situation to impart shame to you to control your life. Don't let the circumstances of very real suffering being set before you in the pathway of accomplishing God's will to detract you, to distract you from what God is calling you into. As I press into all of this, there's so much swirl of you are insane. Why are you doing this? Like, just give up. It'd be easier for you to just let this pass by. No one would ever know. And life would be a whole lot easier for you in a second if you just stopped this silliness. As I keep my eyes focused on Jesus, fixing my eyes on him, and considering his process, what I'm discovering is that God has an increased inheritance in joy for me to receive. He has increased strength to impart, increased participation in his person. And as I consider that, the reward of receiving God as my very great reward is worth the exchange. The cross in front of me is light and easy in comparison to the reward that is coming. So fam, press on. Whatever it is that God has you in, whatever he's calling you towards, I just encourage you by the testimony of these videos of faithfully pushing forward to produce these, to reach out, to touch you and impart grace to you, to know our Father more. Keep going. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus and keep moving forward into joy. If you subscribe to what I'm doing, hit the button, hit it, and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. And if you love this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on our lives together. I love you guys lots, and I'll see you in the next video. And with the camera still rolling, I still love that. I never get tired of doing this. The aspect of, and with the camera still rolling. I hope this is a really good surprise for you guys in the future. What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And today, mothers are my extra, and I am the ordinary. Today is Sunday, Mother's Day, and I always love Mother's Day and pressing into an awareness of what it means to be a disciple of Christ.